Here's what's going on there. Sharp bettors took Orlando immediately at the open of +6. I don't know anyone that got it, but that was the opener. Didn't last long. Then the 5.5. That's where a couple groups got involved, took out all the 5s as well. That's why you're seeing 4.5 pretty much across the screen. Public's a little heavier on Celtics, but it's not even going to offset the sharp money that did come in on the Orlando side. Bucks, Pacers, all Bucks. I know a group that did lay the 3 on Milwaukee, but I would not be surprised if they came back and took the Pacers if this one gets to 6. They have a nice middle there because they backed off. They just laid the 3, which wasn't there long. And since then, it's been nothing but public money on Milwaukee. That's the most one-sided game, in fact. And finally, the nightcap, the public's all over the T-Wolves. So they're betting Milwaukee big. They're betting the T-Wolves big. Books are going to need some dogs to go barking tonight because, again, Bucks and T-Wolves, that's the parlay, that's the teaser, that's the straight bets. And the only thing I can tell you is sharp group that took the 5.5 on Orlando and laid the 3 on Milwaukee. I haven't released the premium in NBA except for tomorrow. A look ahead, going to give you some free plays right now. We bet Golden State, laid the 3 on Golden State immediately, and I think I bet the total too. Yeah, I gave out over 203 to my subscribers there as well. So I'm on Golden State and over for Saturday. All right, some sharp money on Montreal. I worry about that one, Prez. The guy that shared it with me, his team bets NHL. They've done very well during the regular season, not so great in the playoffs. Right. They took Montreal. The public's on Montreal as well. So it's going to be the books versus the world in that one, as the books are going to need the road favorite Washington to get the W. I actually liked Washington. If the line drops even lower, I'm going to fade the steam there. They also took Edmonton, another public play. So it looks like the sharps and the public agreed tonight. Those are actually the 2 heaviest bet NHL sides. Carolina, New Jersey, 50-50 action. Yeah. I'm surprised. I thought it would be, Carolina would get the money. Usually the favorites do, but that's not the case. Good 50-50 action. So Montreal and Edmonton, both sharp, but the public's just as heavy on them. I usually stay away from those situations. Early game, public and the sharps are on the Cubs. -120, 25, 30, 35. Be careful there. They usually get out ahead of the market on that early game, especially when it's the Cubs, especially when it's the Cubs at home. Don't be surprised if a scalp is worked and it's not legit. This one is real, and I like it as well. 958 Colorado, +120, +115, +110. I like Colorado a lot there. And they also steamed the under. They laid -120 at 10.5. They went all the way up to -140 to get under 10. Yep. And then at 9.5, laid the under 9.5 as well. So I'm not sure. Got to be the weather in Colorado. No doubt. Under 10.5, under 10, under 9.5. And then Atlanta, also 959. Atlanta, I like that side as well. Road favorite. They should be closer to -150 against Arizona here. Not sure why they're sitting at a shorter price. Atlanta -115, Atlanta -120. My group bet that. We also bet Colorado. And finally, 965, Toronto, +130, +120, +115. We bet that as well. So the group I work with, we're on Colorado, we're on Atlanta, we're on Toronto. 2 dogs and a favorite. And like I said, other guy I share with, he gave me Chicago, and his team blasted the under in that Colorado total. Again, lower volume early on. But that's definitely some sharp action in Major League Baseball. Well, I have a 5-minute percent, so I can't give that. That would be disrespectful to those that paid. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a 4% play that I just released this morning to subscribers. In fact, probably about 15 minutes ago, so the line should still be there. And that's on Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell over Jimmy Flick. I know Schnell's lost 3 of his last 4, but this matchup is so advantageous for us. Flick's, got one path to victory. That's his grappling. Not going to happen against Schnell. Lay the 180 comfortably. I gave it as a 4% play. Over 200, I'd start to limit my bet a little bit. But I'm surprised. I think he actually wins this fight 3 out of 4 times. That's why I made it a 4%, even though it's chalky. So I like Matt Schnell tomorrow. Released that this morning to subscribers. There's 4 plays in that package already. 2 4%. You got one of them. A 5% and a 3%. And rest assured, more will be going in there between now and fight night tomorrow.
We got to talk about the Celtics and the Magic. Let's go back to Peyton Pritchard, over 13.5 points. Listen, Jason Tatum is hurt, probably not going to play. And now Drew Holiday has popped up on the injury report with a hamstring strain. These injuries are hitting the Celtics at the worst possible time. But here's the thing. When these guys are hurt, Pritchard gets the opportunity. He's gone over in both games in the series, 19 and 14 points. And he played over 32 minutes last game without Tatum. He's getting 6 3-point shots per game. He's shooting 40% from three. He's getting 11 overall field goal attempts. He hits 60% of his field goals. So I think Peyton Pritchard over 13.5 points is a really good look. If you want to wait until closer to game time, if Holiday gets ruled out, my guess is this number goes way up. So if you want to take it now, I'd take it now. I can't wait to run this stat by Barnaby when we do Blue Line Prez. I'm going to take Darnell Nurse over 1.5 shots on goal. He has 5 and 6 shot attempts the first 2 games in the series, 3 shots on goal each game. Prez, this stat's going to blow your mind. He has more shots on goal in this series than Connor McDavid, which is maybe one of the reasons why they're down 2-0. But Darnell Nurse has been getting the shots, not Connor McDavid. And then we'll go to UFC, and we'll do a peaceful parlay. I got 2 fights that I think are going to go the distance, and it's actually the first 2 fights of the night. Chandler and Edwards is going to go the distance. 2 women that don't throw a lot of volume on their strikes. They're not great submission specialists. They're durable. They got good cardio. I think this is going to be a lot of clinch work against the fence. I think that goes the distance. And then Timmy Kwamba against Roberto Romero. Both guys decent strikers, but not these heavy punchers. Timmy Kwamba, his Contender Series fight and both UFC fights have gone the distance. Romero went the distance in his UFC debut. So first 2 fights of the night, you parlay those together, go the distance, you get minus at 115.
I like Arizona's righty Zach Allen over 5.5 Ks. Listen, I bet the D-backs last night with Corbin Burns and lost his under. So I'm going to go for an over. There's only been one time this year that Gallen has faced a high K rate team, and that was against the Yankees. He had 13 strikeouts in that start. Now, Gallen last year against high K rate teams averaged just over 6 strikeouts a game through 18 starts. The Braves this year, I mean, pretty much the last few years, the Braves have been a strikeout-prone lineup. 12 of the 19 righty starters to face the Braves have gone over their strikeout prop. I would take the over 5.5 Ks for Zach Gallen tonight. In underplay, the Padres righty Michael King, 6.5 just is too high against the Rays. So last year, King only went over this number 1 time against a low K rate team, and that was through 6 or 7 starts. This year, he's faced 1 low K rate team and did not go over 6.5 Ks. The Rays, they're one of the biggest, like the most drastic changes from last year to this year. Last year, the Rays were averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game against righty starters. This year, the Rays are averaging just over 3 strikeouts a game against righty starters, with 11 of the 17 starters going under their strikeout prop against Tampa Bay. So unders tend to hit more as a righty against the Rays this year. Now, I don't know, Prez, if I'll be able to get to the window on the Rockies. Yeah. I call this a fishy line. I say this on the Prop Queen pod all the time. A fishy line is reverse line movement. So it doesn't always mean to bet the non-public side, but it means to stay away from the public side. Today, the public side is the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah. The line moved 12 cents against the Reds overnight, despite the Reds getting backed by 95% of the public. Of course, no one wants to back the Rockies. They're coming off a doubleheader yesterday on the road. They lost both games. Here's the difference. The Rockies have a lefty on the mound, Kyle Freeland, today, who pitches better at home. The Reds have the 3rd worst batting average in baseball against lefties. So maybe you go first 5 Rockies here. Maybe you take them plus a half a run in the first 5. Maybe you don't trust their bullpen. But all in all, Prez, just stay away from the Cincinnati Reds today.
I'll tell you what happened to St. Louis. They just finished a series with the Braves and the Mets in a row. 2 of the best bullpens, 2 of the best starting rotations in all of Major League Baseball. I think the Cardinals will bounce back a little bit. So we got Chad Patrick going for the Brewers. We got Liberatore going for the Cardinals. Patrick has a decent ERA, but if you look at his X numbers, which are projections or should be, shall we say. So his xERA and his xFIP are both over 4. So it means he's been lucky to have the ERA that he has. I'm high on Liberatore. I think he's pretty decent pitcher. He's been pitching out of his mind recently. St. Louis is 8-4 at home. I don't trust their bullpen though, so I'm looking at St. Louis in the first 5 on the money line. I grabbed it at -115, and I think you can too. St. Louis first 5 would be my small 1% play on this game. Rangers are taking on the Giants here, and we've got Justin Verlander going against Nate Eovaldi. Justin Verlander had a pretty rough start to the season, but his last start, he went past 6 innings, gave up only 1 run. He kind of looked like a vintage Justin Verlander with Kate Upton on his right arm. He looked pretty good in his last start. I'm not saying he's back to vintage Justin Verlander yet, but I do think he's going to see an uptick in his numbers and production. Nate Eovaldi is pitching out of his mind. I have him on a curved scale of 30 pitchers. I have him ranked in the top 1/3 of all MLB pitchers, ranked 9. He's doing really good. These two teams have 2 top 10 bullpens. San Francisco and Texas, both bullpens are solid. San Francisco is 14-2 against left-handed pitchers. That's something to keep in mind. But the way I'm going to go with this, I think Justin Verlander will last at least 5 innings. Eovaldi certainly will go 5 in. Well, nothing is certain in sports betting, but it's a high probability that Nate Eovaldi will also go 5 innings. And the bullpens are tight enough. Both lineups are a little bit slumping on the downturn right now, especially Texas. Something's wrong with their lineup right now.
Yeah.
I like under 8 in this game. It's an alt line that I got for -140. Maybe it's slipping to -145, a little juicy, but I'd rather take an 8 rather than a 7.5 in this, because major league hitters are major league hitters no matter who's pitching. But under 8 on the alt under, I like that play as a 1%er that I put out as well.
Well, you look at those first 2 games, Prez, and Milwaukee was, dominated in both games. They got blown out by 19 in game 1, and then they did lose game 2 by 8, but they were down by as many as 16. They made a big rally in the 4th quarter and actually cut it to 2 points with just 2.5 to go. But if you look at the box score, and the difference in the game for me when I broke that game down is basically they were even in all of the stats but 2 areas. And again, I looked at the foul shooting. Indiana was 19 of 19 from the foul line, and that was crucial down the stretch once they cut the lead, because obviously you are going to foul, put them on the line, and then you got to answer with, a 3, and they didn't. The other part of the game that Milwaukee suffered in, they had a high turnover rate in that game. They had 15 turnovers. Those 2 stats were the difference in the game. The other big thing that I looked at in that game, and I think it's a plus going into game 3 tonight, and as you said, down 0-2, this is the season for them. We know you can't lose. You go down 3-0, series is over for them. Damian Lillard did return for game 2. He had missed 15 games with that blood clot in his leg. He played 37 minutes in that game on Tuesday night. He was rusty. He only scored 14 points. Horrible night shooting, 4 of 13 and 2 of 8 from 3. He needed that game. He'll be better tonight, in my opinion. Also, Milwaukee catches a break because he did play 37 minutes. He did look gassed at the end of that game. The fact that they played on Tuesday and not come back and play last night, having that extra day is going to be a big benefit for him. So with the home crowd, with Milwaukee, with Damian Lillard back in the lineup, second game back off the layoff, I expect more from him. This is going to be a spot where I'm going to look to back Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee fits an angle, Prez, and wait till I finish it at the end, because I know you're going to say, what the hell does that have anything to do with the playoff game? Betting on home favorites on Friday nights in the NBA, if they are coming off a loss to a division rival, since 2021, betting this angle blindly is 51-17. Now, if we had our buddy Teddy still on the show, he would be saying, well, Marco, what the hell does that have to do with Friday nights? The reason I bring something up like that, Friday nights and Saturday nights, the home crowds are totally different than you having a Monday night crowd or a Tuesday night crowd. You've got the weekend crowd. They're out. Most people don't have to go to work on Saturday. They're going to have a good time. They're going to be loud. They're going to be rowdy. That's one of these angles where days of the week do come into play. And here's a little tidbit. This season, Indiana's played on the road 9 times on a Friday night. They're just 2-7 in those games. I'll go ahead and take Milwaukee tonight.
What do we do in this game? They're at home. They're -3.5 or -160 on the money line. 207.5. They lost their last game 94-85. Marco, when was the last time a team put up 85? Is this from like 50? What kind of score is that?
This was a throwback to the 90s. I thought we were looking at Detroit or Chicago playing one of those, hard knock, up the floor, walk the ball up. But you know what? The season was on the line for the Lakers. Let's be honest, okay? We talked about Milwaukee in that other series being down 2-0. At least Milwaukee's would have been down 2-0 heading home. The Lakers could not be down 2-0 and heading on the road. Season over. So they had to get that game. They gave everything they had, and they pulled it out. Now, these two teams have played 6 times this year. They're 3-3. But people will look and say the Lakers are 2-1 since they got Luka, which is true. But, I look at the first game in this series. I had Minnesota, and I was on them strong in that game. They got the job done. I think Minnesota is the better team, even though the Lakers are the higher seed. You've got that built-in bias because it's the Lakers and it's LeBron. You're going to lay a price. I really do believe Minnesota should be a bigger favorite tonight. I stayed off of Minnesota in game 2. I was a little bit concerned with Minnesota because of the situation the Lakers were in with the must win, and the fact that Minnesota really accomplished their goal in game 1. When you go on the road to start a series, and this, Prez, whether it's hockey playoffs, NBA, or Major League Baseball, you want to just win one of those first 2 games. That's your goal. Come back home. You stole home court advantage. Yeah. And that's what Minnesota did. So I think the Lakers had the mental edge in that game and the focus. Now we've got a different situation. And the Lakers did something very uncharacteristic of this team. When they got Luka, I said, okay, this team already wasn't good defensively. They're going to be even worse. But they ratcheted it up in game 2. They got the job done. I don't see them doing that again in this game. Minnesota's got to force the tempo. And that is what you want to do against the Lakers. You want to force LeBron to have to play on both ends of the court. So I expect a quicker pace. 2 reasons. What I just said, and the Lakers have caught a break in this series in every game so far. And what that break has been is they had time in between games. Minnesota wants to force the issue tonight for the reasons I said, but they also want to set this up for game 4. And the reason I point that out now, because I won't be talking to you guys before game 4, is that will be the first time in this series that the Lakers are going to have to play with only 1 day's rest. They had 6 days before the game 1, and then they had 2 days in between both game 2 and game 3. They're going to come right back on Sunday. Instead of going Tuesday to Friday like this one, Sunday they'll be back here in 1 day. I am going to go ahead and ride with Minnesota tonight. I think they force the issue. I think that they get this job done in the second quarter or in the second half of this game, and you'll start to see LeBron having to play and make stops on the defensive side. You can't do it for the full 48 minutes. Something's going to lack either on the defensive side or the offensive side. Minnesota has too many offensive weapons. I don't think the Lakers can contain them. Yes, LeBron will get his points. Yes, Luka will get his, but I just don't see the Lakers making enough stops. Last stat I'll give you. I know this line.
No more stats. No more.
82 and 42 home teams that allowed 95 or less points in their last game. Prez, when the line is +3 to -3. Now, I know that in some books, this line has moved outside of that parameter to 3.5, but this was a solid -3 all day yesterday and early this morning.